So, Kori Ali Muhammad is in custody after going on a shooting rampage while shouting Allahu Akbar. Muhammad shot 3 people to death outside a Catholic charity in Fresno, California, not counting a security guard he killed outside a hotel last Thursday. Some of the details that have emerged so far suggest that he may be part of one of the American offshoots of Islam, such as the 5% Nation. Although I've never heard a 5%er yell Allahu Akbar, so we'll have to wait for more information. What we do know now is that the Western media are once again trying to protect Islam from criticism. Check out the headline from the Associated Press. Fresno police say suspect in triple slaying told them he hates white people, shouted, "God is great," before killings. Who said what now? Notice there are 2 things missing from this headline. 1, the suspect's name, Muhammad, and 2, what he actually shouted. Fresno police didn't say that Muhammad shouted, "God is great." They said he shouted, "Allahu Akbar." Some of you are thinking, well, the journalists were just translating for us. No, they weren't. You see, when you translate, you're trying to give people more information. If people don't know what words mean, the words are meaningless to them. So by translating, you're increasing their understanding. Is that what journalists do when they try to de-Islamify words and phrases so that we don't see the connection between the violence and Islam? No, they're reducing the amount of information we have so that we don't come to conclusions they don't want us to come to. The British are quite familiar with this. When the members of an Islamic rape gang finally face justice, usually after spending 10 or 15 years gang raping hundreds of teenage girls with the full knowledge of police and social services who are too scared to arrest the rapists for fear of being labeled Islamophobes, what do the headlines say? Asian grooming gang convicted of appalling acts of depravity on children. Seriously? Asians? Like Jackie Chan? Notice, stating the truth, Muslim rape gang, gives you a certain amount of information. Diluting the truth some, say Pakistani rape gang, gives you less information. Diluting the truth even more, Asian rape gang, gives you almost no relevant information about what happened. Now, think about this. In order to avoid any connection between the crime and Islam, the media point to a much larger group, of which the Muslim gang rapists form a much smaller subset. This way, you don't know who's actually committing the crime. What did the Associated Press do? They took an expression, Allahu Akbar, which would have immediately informed readers that this had something to do with Islam, and they posted it as, "God is great," which is something that Christians and Jews and Muslims and all kinds of people believe. So the crime was committed by some sort of religious fanatic, not by a guy named Muhammad who was shouting Allahu Akbar. Suppose Kori Ali Muhammad had yelled, "This is my jihad," while slaughtering people. Yelling, "This is my jihad," would immediately tell us that this has something to do with Islam. So the Associated Press could simply do a little translating for us, giving us the headline, "Nameless shooter yells, 'This is my struggle.'" Jihad means struggle, so that would be the translation, but translating it as struggle would completely distort the meaning. And that's what the major news networks do. They gather information about world events and deliver this information to us, but only after they've made a few tiny modifications to help correct our beliefs. These small modifications, story after story, day after day, year after year, eventually add up to massive indoctrination. This indoctrination is essential for the success of the networks. If they can get you to think in a certain way, then you'll go to the networks that give you the kind of stories you've been trained by them to want. The greatest threat to their power, then, is a population of people who can think for themselves and form their own conclusions based on unfiltered information. And that's why the networks encourage such open hostility, such unbridled outrage towards anyone who holds the wrong opinions. Translate that, Associated Press.